It's the Infectious Grovoe Podcast, part of the Odd Pods Media Network. Recorded from Detroit, Michigan, and Jacksonville, Florida. The Infectious Grovoe Podcast is your source for jammy jams, album reviews, and the best in-depth music discussion. Thanks for joining us. Now here are your hosts.
It is, in fact, the Infectious Grovoe Podcast, and the lady wasn't lying at the top, even though only one of your Infectious Grovoe Podcast hosts, my name is Russ, is here this week. Michelle, of course, has the week off because she had to do work last week for the podcast, so she needs an entire week off to prepare to do work again next week for the podcast, as many people know. However, the lady at the beginning of the show wasn't lying, and we do have hosts this week, and those laughs you heard just now are from some of my favorite people in podcasting. The BFYTW crew is with us this week. How you doing, gentlemen?
Hey, what's going on? Infectious Grovoe.
What's
going on? Super excited.
So here's my thing. Usually at the top of the episode, the first thing I do is turn it over to whomever is our guest with us, and I go, oh, hey, tell people where to find you and everything. But before I do that, I want to tell everybody, if you're listening to this episode on Monday, so our episodes always come out on Monday, if you hear anything at any point during this episode that makes you go, I should at least go try out that BFYTW show, which I can't encourage you enough to do. You absolutely should go check out the show. You're in luck because their current episode. So if you are listening to our show on Monday or anytime next week, their most current episode has myself and Lauren from the Beard Owl podcast on it. So if you already are listening to our show and you like what we're doing and you're intrigued by if you should go check out BFYTW, then their most recent episode already has some voices that you're used to on it. And I will pass it off to you guys so you guys can sell the audience on your show. But lastly, before I do, I have to say you guys are one of the funniest podcasts I've ever heard. And it's
wow.
That is
the build up.
I have build
up that we got to impress all your listeners now.
I have inside jokes with your show that I say to myself, how people quote The Office and stuff. I quote stuff that I heard on your show. So having said that, the gentlemen laughing are the BFYTW crew. We got Aaron, Augie, and Stevie. What are you gentlemen doing over there on that show?
So I'm Pantsless Aaron, and I am the host of the show. Our show is a panel show inspired podcast. We basically just play silly games, and whichever team has the most points at the end of the show wins. And they get a completeless sense of entitlement that will take probably 30 seconds to wear off.
It is nice, though. Those 30 seconds, you feel like you're on top of a mountain. It's pretty amazing.
Stevie rarely wins.
It's true. It is true. But when I do.
And
yeah, right.
Stevie and Augie are regular team captains, although lately we've been mixing things up. For example, the very last episode, Russ and Lauren on, we had Russ and Lauren face Stevie and Augie head to head, and it was incredible. Just an absolute slobber knocker. The boys got destroyed by Russ and Lauren. So I can highly recommend that episode. Not only is it a lot of fun, but you will hear Russ and Lauren absolutely just smash it to pieces.
You know what's cool about that episode? It's episode 160. It's their first on-air performance as a couple, first tag team match. It's like their first tag team match taking us on, and they destroyed us. So all right. Now who's next?
I feel like it's a good omen.
Right on. Well, I will tell you this,
for us.
But like we were talking about with their show, so their show is a game show based format, and it's really cool for me because even the last time that I was on it, their current episode, going into it, it's not just fact or crap type games or just Mad Libs type games. They really put a cool spin on each of the games so that you even going into it, I was rewriting notes and second guessing myself all the way till answers came out of my mouth, and that for me is cool as a contestant, and I could definitely see it having a good effect on the audience because it has on me. So having said that, we always tell you when we have guests on if we really do endorse their show or not. I have definitely passed it off to guests before and been I don't know, good luck. But and you can tell when I really endorse folks, and BFYTW is one that I certainly endorse. And y'all have new episodes pretty much every Thursday, right? I don't think you guys don't skip we sometimes take breaks. You guys don't even do that, right?
No, since we started in 2019, we haven't missed a content post on our day we were supposed to post.
Right on.
Yeah, we've hit every single Thursday.
Yep, there's never been a day, even when we were on vacation, we made sure we had something come out for everybody.
Badass.
So yeah, it's been consistent the whole since we started.
Awesome.
We're not proud of that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm really proud of is the fact that, like, holy crap, our show might not be the best, but at least we've been consistent the entire time.
Right.
And I'll take that.
Yeah. So, like I say, every Thursday there's a brand new BFYTW. If you go check out the new one that has myself and Lauren on it, and you like what you hear, there's a ton of episodes already available, and then you can check one out. If you hit subscribe, you'll get a brand new one every single Thursday. So let's get down to the business of the Infectious Groove Podcast and these folks that are going to help me out with this episode. So when we get into the second half of the episode, we are going to talk about, we're going to have at least 2 examples from each of us of lyrics that have had a big impact on your life. So what we do on this show is we always try and point out things that matter to us for one reason or another. So to me, it's not even the lyrics themselves that we're going to discuss, but more like the impact that it had on your life or why that lyric matters to you. To give you an example, like, I don't care if the lyrics of We Will Rock You, which are some of like the most simplistic lyrics out there, like if that has had an impact on your life, like then that matters, and why it's had an impact on your life matters. So we're going to get into that in the second half. Before we get there, we have a couple of different segments to go through, one of which is some feedback that we've had from our YouTube channel in the last couple episodes of the program. So we'll get into that right now.
Feedback, Joe.
Don't worry about that. Right. Rock and roll me without feedback.
Fine fellas from Pink Floyd taking us into our feedback discussion. They're known for getting along very well, the guys in Pink Floyd. So that's why we always use them in our transitions. Regarding last week's episode, our friends Sean and Chris wrote in and said, will Michelle still have her gift card by the time you end this program? So just so you guys know, at BFYTW, I bought Michelle a gift card to a record store for her birthday 2 years ago. The record store is located between her work and her home. So she literally drives by it 5 days a week. She has yet to spend this gift card. And it came up again last week because the album that we reviewed was the latest album from the Lone Bellow, who is a band that we go on all the time about how much we love this band. And I said, I feel weird because this is the first Lone Bellow record I haven't run right out to buy because I've had so much going on. And I said, well, I assume you have it. And she's like, no, I haven't bought it yet. And I was like, okay, but you have that gift card though. And she's like, yeah, I know, I'll get to it. So that's why the question came up. And regarding that record, Sean and Chris go on to say, I looked up the new Lone Bellow album, The Love Songs for Losers, because Michelle was so excited about it. And the first thing I did was check out the runtime. And yep, she's right on brand. So the album is 40 minutes long. Michelle cannot deal with an album that's longer than 40 minutes, and she can't deal with a song that's longer than 3 minutes. So, yeah. Right on.
This is amazing. I love the stipulation.
Wow.
Yep. From our YouTube channel, we did a couple of videos in the past 2 weeks about awesome TV theme songs. And we had someone write in one that I love that said, speaking of TGIF on ABC, the Perfect Strangers theme song was awesome. And the show was Bronson Pinchot at his best. The Out of This World theme song was an earworm, and How Do You Talk to an Angel by The Heights was excellent. MASH was a classic as well. So first of all, you guys are probably too young for this. I thought I was the only person on earth who'd ever heard of the show Out of This World. Have you guys ever heard of this show?
I don't think
I
so.
certainly haven't.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, get ready to want to watch this show. It was a really low budget syndicated comedy in the 80s. So like it was never even on a network, right? Like it was like went right to syndication. Okay. And it was about a teenage girl who was in half alien, you see, because her father came to Earth. This was a sitcom, by the way. I should stop off and say that. Her father came.
Alf.
Ish. So, Alf-ish. So her father came to Earth, impregnated her mother, and then went back to his home planet. You understand? And
as you do,
as you do in the 80s. And the show was about the mother raising this daughter as a single mom. And then the daughter could communicate with her dad through this like box that he left that he could speak to her from space on. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. I didn't take any drugs before we started this. Like, this is all real. And, so I kid you not, it's an 80s syndicated comedy called Out of This World. But when the person commented on YouTube and mentioned that, I was like, I swear to God, I thought I was the only person who'd ever even seen that show. let alone, and I
thought you made it up yourself.
Yeah. I thought for sure I just made it up.
There were 4 seasons. There were 96 episodes of this thing.
Yeah. I'm telling you,
I've seen it now. It's starting to bother me.
High quality entertainment, gentlemen. Check it out.
Yeah, I wrote it down. I'm going to look at it after this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then I had another video come out on YouTube that was about one-hit wonders that people have forgot. And we got a lot of really good comments on that. And 2 bands I mentioned in that was these early to mid 90s bands called Brother Kane and Cry of Love that nobody seems to remember it. And we had a person comment and say, about the same vein as Brother Kane and Cry of Love, there was a tune called Nobody Said It Was Easy by a band called the Four Horsemen. Also, the Black Crowes would gain Audley Freed as a guitar player who was a founding member of Cry of Love. So I thought that was just some cool stuff. I like that Four Horsemen song I've never heard. I love that when we put out a video being like, I bet you don't remember these songs. And people are like, I bet you don't remember this one. And I'm like, shit, I don't.
You got me. Crap.
Yeah. I just recently did a guest spot on another podcast where I was saying that the older I get, the more I love saying the phrase, oh, I didn't know that. Like the more I enjoyed learning. Like when I was young, I used to try to be a know-it-all asshole guy. And like the older I get, the more I'm like, oh man, I love learning stuff. Like I love saying to someone I didn't know that.
Oh, absolutely. 1,000%. It is my favorite thing to come across something I didn't know about, but brings me joy.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is incredible. I have so much more interest in the world, I think, as a whole, when you just accept that there are things you don't know.
Well, it's like a whole new world. It'll like so many new opportunities, new things you can do now that you found that thing. It's like, oh, this is pretty neat.
Yeah. I'm excited about growing into that as a person. Lastly, circling back to the TV theme songs episode, we had some folks leave a comment that said, back in my garage days bands, me and my friends used to get together and jam the Jeffersons theme song as one of our regular go-to songs. Hell yeah. Like I would go watch your band practice all day long if you're doing the Jeffersons theme song. I love that song.
That'd be freaking awesome. Just walk by somebody. You start walking by and the theme song starts playing as you're walking past their house.
Dude, if I was walking down the street and heard the Jeffersons theme song being played by a garage band, I would make friends. Like I would roll up to that house and be like, well, we're friends now.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, we always read feedback on the show that you can leave us anywhere on the internet. Of course, Facebook, you can leave it on Twitter, Instagram, you can go right to our YouTube page, pretty much anywhere that you want on the internet. You can even leave us a voicemail at 313-364-9899. We'll be happy to play that on the show or read your feedback on anything that we have put out as content. So please leave that for us and we will go ahead and read it on our next episode. Moving right along, we're going to our next segment where we talk about what we've been listening to and why, and we call that segment Our Jammies. It's our Jammy Jams. It's the most celebrated segment in the history of podcasting, according to at least me. And gentlemen, just so you know, we used to do this thing where I would go last with Jammy Jams, but we had the fellas from the Itch Rocks on, who, by the way, I adore. That is a fantastic rock and roll podcast that people should listen to. And they went on in such great detail about the songs they were listening to and why that I completely forgot to share my own Jammy Jams once. So from there out, I have to go first or else I'll forget. And then we'll go through everybody else.
Yes.
So I have 3 that are kind of weird and disjointed. 3 songs that I've just been listening to as much as I can this week. One of them, it's not the world's greatest song, but it has a drum intro, which some days that's all I need out of life is a good drum intro. Mm-hmm. And that's Quiet Riot in their cover of Come On Feel the Noise, which was a gigantic hit in the 80s. And it's so funny to me. Quiet Riot only had 2 hits in the 80s, really, and both of them were covers of the same band. There's a band called Slade that had hits with Come On Feel the Noise and Mama We're All Crazy Now before Quiet Riot. So that's I know, isn't that crazy? But anyway, so Come On Feel the Noise. I somehow heard the drum intro somewhere and I was like, well, that's sticking with me for this week. So I've been listening to that a lot. Then we got our whole vinyl set up here at the house finally, like our turntable and everything. And Lauren went on what can only be described as a unhinged Billy Joel vinyl buying kick. And
yes,
yeah, and she bought the record Stormfront, which is most known for We Didn't Start the Fire. And I don't care. I'm sure there's quote unquote, I'm using Dr. Evil quotes, real Billy Joel fans who like hate that song. I don't give a shit. I love that song. I adore the song We Didn't Start the Fire. I know some of the syllables of it, I'm like everybody else when it plays. I'm all like, like I don't know what they're saying through most of it, but I love it. And so she bought that record. She bought like all these classic Billy Joel records, you know, that people like totally love. And I was like, no, we got to listen to this one because we didn't start the fire on it. You know, like I bet a bunch of Billy Joel fans would be offended by that. And then the last thing that I've been listening to is it's not a huge surprise because it's my favorite record of all time. But for some reason, I've had Young Lust by Pink Floyd, specifically the song Young Lust, stuck in my head, which is like, I think the shortest song on the wall. It's like 2 minutes long or something like that. But I've had that song stuck in my head and I just love that song so damn much. And there's a couple of live versions out of it out there that are longer than that or whatever else. But for some reason, I've had that one song from The Wall stuck in my head. So I've been listening to that a ton lately. So those were the three things that really have been stuck in my head and the whys for it. I'll go around the horn here with the gentleman from the BFYTW podcast. The pantsless one, Aaron, we'll call on you first. What have you been listening to and why?
All right. Well, I mean, I'm going to stay true to form. My first jammy jam is going to be a song from a video game. And that is BB's theme from Death Stranding. It's kind of like, it's like a lullaby mixed with some EDM and an orchestra.
Hell yeah.
And it's this really beautiful song about losing a loved one and learning to move on. Mm-hmm. And the song is basically a lullaby for them as they are dying. So it just hits me really emotionally hard. Okay. To the point where, like, when the song gets to a certain point, like right before the very end, like right before the climax of the song, as it were, I start tearing up. I can't help it. It happens every single time.
No, I get that.
And Stevie very kindly putting out the Kleenex just in case. But yeah, no, it gets me every single time. But I can't stop listening to it. It's beautiful. It's haunting, and it just grabs me in such a strong way. And I don't mind feeling that way. You know, like you got to have sadness to enjoy the happy. You know,
definitely.
There's it's funny because this ties in with the second half of the episode, but this isn't on my list. But there's a Prince lyric to a song called "Free," where Prince says, never smile unless you're, don't cry unless you're happy and don't smile unless you're blue. You know, like that there's got to be balance in your emotion and stuff. And I remember the first time I heard that Prince lyric, I was like, shit, he's right. You know, like you really need to balance things. Yeah. My one question on that though is, and it's not a big deal if not, but we do a Spotify playlist every week for like our jammy jams. Is that something that I'll be able to find on Spotify to put on the playlist, do you think? Or
you should be able to. It's on my Spotify list. So
okay. Okay. Yeah. If it's on Spotify at all, then we'll be able to put it on our playlist.
Yeah. And haunting, really ethereal, beautiful song.
Nice. And then as a side note too, and nobody get excited about this, but we had a viewer of our channel suggest that I should do my 5 favorite video game songs. And so we shot that video already and it's coming, but just so everyone do not get excited. My video game music knowledge is very, 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 very remedial. So like I'm telling you in advance that you're probably going to roll your eyes through most of the video. Just
it's like Mario Tetris.
Yeah, no, I will happily comment on that video with some ones that you should definitely check out.
And that matters to me more than anything. But yeah, what else do you got?
Okay, so to lighten the mood a little bit, I decided to get the sad one out of the way first.
Good man, good man.
In the 2000s, mostly, it just kind of fell off after that. But there was a period where goth rock mixed with orchestral music was a really big thing. Mm-hmm. And I love to pieces the song Ghost Love Score by Nightwish, especially the live version performed by Floyd Jansen. Oh my God. Like, I mean, I feel like I shouldn't have to say anything more. I mean, it is a 10-minute long song. I did like a full segment on an episode of my other podcast, the A&E podcast, talking about this song because it meant so much to me. And now I can't find the words, but it's this incredible operatic, bombastic, bigger than life sort of experience. And it takes you through a roller coaster of ups and downs. There's quiet parts and then come back in and they're jamming really hard and Floor's, really going for it. But then the end of the song, I defy anybody to listen to Floyd Jansen hit that final note and not get chills running completely down their spine, down to their toes. It's incredible. It's absolutely It's one of my favorite songs of all time, period. And I've been listening to it a lot recently, which is why it's in my jammy jams.
That's rad.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Dude.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
and like we say, that's all that matters is it's not even what you're listening to, it's why and what it does for you. And if I had never even, which I have, but if I hadn't even heard of either of those artists or that game, I would be like, Jesus, I need to hear that right now just from your description. So well done. Moving along to Augie. What have you been listening to and why?
So I listen to music really weird.
Which is,
and by that,
that's fine.
I listen to mashups.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant you listened to it like upside down with your arm on your...
In his gimp suit.
so I typically listen to mashups just because I'm always looking for like a new sound or something like that. But I kind of like how some songs mix well together. Like sometimes if I hear a mashup I really like, I will go and listen to like the original song. So like there's a mashup of Disturbed's Indestructible with like Lil Nas X's That's What I Want.
Right on.
And so I like after listening to the mashup, I'm like, okay, I've heard of Disturbed's Indestructible, but I never heard Lil Nas's stuff really. And I end up discovering him through listening to these mashups.
See, and that's rad,
same thing
you
with
know?
Same thing with like I listened to a thing that was like a map of Alien Boy and Killed the Radio Star.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, those songs were really good, and that made me go back and listen to like all the songs from the same like time period and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's exactly, in my opinion, that's exactly what you should be doing. Like even when somebody comes out today with a song that's like so similar to something else that they get sued over it or whatever, you know, like to me, as long as people are checking out the original, then I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, you should definitely go check out the original. So a couple of mashups and different artists you've found through, and that's what you've been jamming on.
Yeah, rediscovering a few ones that I used to listen to, and then some that I've never heard before.
Right on. That's awesome. Either you can't lose either way. Either listening to stuff that you like, revisiting things that you haven't heard in a while, or discovering new artists is always great as well. Stevie, you're up. What have you been listening to? What are your jammy jams?
All right, I'm gonna start off by saying I've been out of the music game for about a decade or so since podcasting pretty much got big. So forgive me now for anything that I may say.
No, dude.
But personally,
if somebody judges you on this show, they're not a regular listener of our show. Trust me.
Cool. So the Muppets, right? No, okay.
Dude, I'd take the Muppets all day.
Muppets had some good tunes.
Yeah.
Mayhem's coming out.
Treasure Island, yes.
Got cabin fever.
Yes. Okay, so no, not joking too much. I just got back from visiting my parents, and growing up with my dad, he introduced me into a lot of amazing music. The Beatles, it was a huge influence to him, so much so he plays all the time, and he plays Blackbird.
Right.
So when I was out there with him, he grabbed his Gibson, he sat down like next to us, we had a drink together, and he just started playing Blackbird. And it's such a beautiful song.
Oh my God.
Just hearing the first few chords, and it's just like, holy crap, dude. It's I love it. Like I'm already getting tingly feelings from it.
I get it. That happens to be off my favorite Beatles record. Like that's a very maligned album, the White Album. Like people either love it or hate it, and I am squarely in the I love it category. But to have that connection too with your folks, like where there's, you know, like you said, even so, yeah, that's awesome that you were sitting there with your old man and he's physically playing on the guitar. But the way that that's recorded, you could just hear that song on the radio or in a bar or something, and you're instantly going to think of your dad, right?
Yes, every time. That's how it actually started. Though we were at a bar, I was DDing for him, and there was a little tiki thing. And this one guy, he's up there just on a mic and a guitar, just playing out in the open, and he started playing Blackbird, and right away it's like, oh, dude, it's just amazing, like that connection we have for that.
That's rad.
And it's always going to be there for that song. Other than that, obviously, I go back to this song all the time. Karaoke's my biggest thing. For it is REM's "Losing My Religion."
Mm-hmm.
I love this song for multiple reasons. One, I can hit the notes is huge. Two is it makes a difference.
I can sing it.
Sing it. That's why all that matters. But I went through a lot of religious things in my time. Like I grew up in a predominantly Catholic household, and it changed really quick to very light Lutheran to whatever you want to do pretty much. And then I left for the military. So I explored a lot of different things. And within that song, to me, he's still trying to explore a bunch of different things there, trying to figure out which way to go, which way to turn, while still trying to like keep an eye out for everybody else.
Yeah. You know,
that's the way I always thought of it.
This is such a minor thing, but whenever the song comes up, I always tell this story. So when I was a kid in the late 80s, like 87, 88 or so, there was this skater kid that lived across the street from me. And like, I considered myself to know like quite a bit about music already, but this kid was like into stuff I'd never heard. So where's like literally in like 87, he was the kid that played like the Chili Peppers, REM, Depeche Mode, like bands like that. He was playing for me like easy 3-4 years before they became a big thing. Right. And when he got the Out of Time record, like right when it came out, because he had Document, he had Green, he had like all the REM stuff before that. And I remember hearing that album with him. And as soon as like we got to the chorus of Losing My Religion, I was like, well, I hope you had a fun ride with this band, because everyone's going to know about them now. Like this is going to be an enormous hit. And then it did, like all of that, you know, just blew them up huge from there. And then everybody goes back and they act like they knew Stand and It's the End of the World. No one knew those songs before Losing My Religion. Nobody did.
I mean, I'll admit it, I didn't.
No, and again, to be clear, I'm not being hipster about it. Like I wouldn't have known if I didn't happen to live across the street from this kid who knew, you know, like it's like when Under the Bridge hit and everybody was like, oh, I know the Chili Peppers. I was like, nah, you don't know this crazy stuff that they used to do. Like, you know, which I didn't even like when I heard it. I was like, well, that's insane what those guys recorded, you know, and then it became huge.
Right.
And so anyways, Losing My Religion as well. And I know I've seen you mention that on Twitter before, and that's a great song for in the first place, let alone for karaoke as well. So is that what you've been listening to, or you got another jammy jam for us?
I got one left, and this one, it's not usually like my typical thing people see or hear me speak, because I don't articulate things very well, so you wouldn't think, but I'm actually a pretty big country fan. My parents got me to go to a lot of country and to Tennessee a lot. I know Tennessee too well. They're there right now again. But Shania Twain, I fell in love with in like early 90s. And then in the later 90s, she became really big with MTV and all that too, with their new look and all that.
Yep.
And then issues happened. She left for a while. She just came back, and she had a new album called Queen of Me that just came out. Came out in a huge box set thing, big ordeal. I got it right away. I got the shirt. I wore the shirt a couple of days ago. I don't care. I love her. She's amazing. But her voice now, it's raspier, and holy crap, you can just feel her voice so much more than you could before. Like that. Before she could sing, don't get me wrong, she had the pipes and all that, she could sing. But now her voice, man, like you can feel like the struggle she went through the last few years, man, and her trying to build her way back up. It's freaking insane. And then the song Brand New right there, like I think it's the third song on the album. It's powerful. That's the only way I can say it. She's on her feet and she's fighting for herself this time, not anybody fucking else. And I love that.
That's rad. The only thing I can even compare to that voice wise, and this is going way, if you thought people were going to make fun of you for Shania Twain, boy, am I going way back before that. So Boy George and Culture Club. Boy George, his modern voice is like way more raspy and lower than it used to be. And if you like Culture Club just put out a new record like 3 or 4 years ago called Life. And first of all, it's my favorite record that they've done. And second of all, same thing. If you hear it, unless I told you it was Culture Club, you probably wouldn't know it was Boy George singing, like because of the lower, like more growl in his voice that he has now, you know? But like you say, to me, I hear it and I go, oh, his voice is aging well. And I feel like that's what you're saying about Shania, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I'm a huge fan, and that just like this solidified even more her comeback to me.
Right on. That's rad.
She's got residency now in Vegas too. Like it started this year. We were there at the end of last year. I saw the sign. I went to get the tickets, and I was like, oh, it's not till next year.
Yeah. I'm fitting to go out to Vegas for Kelly Clarkson's doing a residency out there, and I loves me some Kelly Clarkson. So I will.
She's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've seen her 3 times, and the only one of the 3 times was in Vegas. I was in Vegas for work. It's like, okay, you know how you were like, oh, I'm going to buy tickets, but it wasn't then.
Right.
I happened to be in Vegas for work, and I saw a billboard. It was like Kelly Clarkson Clarkson tonight at the Hard Rock, the joint at the Hard Rock. And I was like, well, I'm going to that now. So I went and bought tickets, and there's me, a 40-some-year-old dude, standing head and shoulders above all of the teenage girls in the audience. With like all of the moms just giving me side eye, like, what are you doing here? And I was like, enjoying Kelly Clarkson, get off me, you know? Yeah. Like, don't worry. All my Snapchat videos from that night had zero obstruction because everyone in the audience was shorter than me. So you could.
That's awesome.
Totally.
See, you and I need to go together so I can sit on your shoulders.
Hell yeah, dude. I'll go see Kelly Clarkson anywhere, anytime. I love that broad. But yeah,
I've seen her once. It's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, she's pretty astounding live. I think she's the best female singer alive today. But every time I say that on the show, there's a whole kerfuffle on Twitter. So I'm sure there's going to be another one.
So, I won't roast you, I promise.
Right on. So those were our Jamie Jams, and that includes the crew from BFYTW, and all of those songs will be on our Spotify playlist this week. And I'll tell you what, we get compliments a lot from people being like, wow, I love the playlist because it's so diverse. Well, if diversity is what you're after, that's what you're getting this week between all of us with everything that we're going to have on the playlist this week. We are going to take a quick break, pay some bills, do some promos for some other shows. When we get back, I will still be joined by the folks from BFYTW, and what they are going to do is talk with me about lyrics that have had the biggest impact on our lives. When we get back, I'll explain exactly what I mean. We'll go through the topic, and we'll all have some fun with it. You're listening to the Infectious Grovoe Podcast and the Odd Pods Media Network.
Hey, it's Dalton.
And I'm Sam.
Sam and I love to talk, and when we do, we talk big.
Of course, you're talking about the Big Ten.
You said it. We were formerly Big Ten Plus 4, but we knew a change was needed.
Yep. With the conference growing to 16 teams in just over a year, we decided to make our name something that reflects what our show is about while allowing the conference to keep growing.
We are proud to announce our new name going forward is Big Talk. Catch Big Talk each week, just as before, on the ASAP Network.
And later that day on Odd Pods Media, we bring you college sports with a Big Ten flavor.
Big Talk, college sports with Midwest perspective.
Blue collar and blue blood.
Hey, you there. We've got a question for you. Are you tired of clickbait stories and the loudest voices driving discussions in culture and entertainment?
If so, I'm Dylan.
I'm Kendall.
And I'm Corey. And we host the podcast From the Middle. We're middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle.
We take a more reasonable and centrist approach in our discussions covering genres like comedy, culture, entertainment, and interviews, with really interesting folks like business owners, comic creators, doctors, news anchors, New York Times best-selling illustrators, professional stand-up comics, and more. We really value a relaxed and conversational podcast, one that we hope is so fun and laid back, you'll forget you're not actually hanging out with us.
So search at From the Mid Pod, just like it sounds, or check us out everywhere you can find podcasts.
We are back. It's Russ from the Infectious Grovoe Podcast, and along with me this week is our friends from the Odd Pods Media Network, the crew from BFYTW. We have Pants Lasarin, Augie, and Stevie on with us, and they were with us through the first half. And ooh, that's some devious noises coming from the BFYTW crew. If you have listened to this program at any point in the last 3 years, you know that lyrics matter to me a great deal, and it does not matter what the artist is or what the song is. I personally think any lyric from any time for any artist can move anyone in many different ways. So one topic that I've always wanted to cover is just kind of talking about some of our favorite lyrics of all time. And so since we have three guys from BFYTW on with me, in order to make sure this isn't like a 3-hour extravaganza, we're each going to go through and kind of just do a roundtable rotation of each of us sharing 2 of our favorite lyrics of all time. And more important to me than the lyric itself is why that it's had an impact on your life. And I have 2, but I had an honorable mention, and to kind of set the table and explain to the audience what I mean by lyrics with an impact, I'm going to kind of weasel in my honorable mention, and then we'll start going through everybody. So what I mean when lyrics have an impact is something like, for me, when I first heard the song Stan by Eminem, I was thoroughly grounded by that song. Like I understood what fame could be like and the impact that lyrics and the way artists handle themselves might have an impact on people. Like I grew up in the 80s when like all the women were dressing like Madonna and all the dudes were dressing like MJ. And, you know, and you see trends like even in the early 90s where people were like all dressing like, you know, flannel and everything from Seattle. But it wasn't until I heard the song Stand by Eminem where I was like, oh shit, there can be like a wildly negative effect of this. Like people can get obsessive and not understand the difference between like nuance in lyrics and when someone's joking, you know, like that was like that kind of impact that song had on me where I was like, holy shit. Like I didn't
like the reality of it.
Yeah.
All.
Like that, you know, so that's what I mean when, you know, lyrics that have an impact. And even today, Lauren was telling me about a Elton John song that unlocked her whole life for her. Like about 5 or 6 years ago, she heard an Elton John lyric and she was just like, yeah, I'm going to start living like that now. And then she did, you know, so that's kind of, yeah, I think that's fucking rad. And the two that I have, to be honest, are kind of melancholy, but we'll go through them and I'll explain the hows and whys of them, of course. But we'll kind of.
That was my biggest fear about this was like, we're primarily a comedy podcast and this is probably going to be kind of more of a serious.
Yeah. Well,
somber discussion.
But I feel strongly that you have to be able to find humor in everything anyways. Like I have a friend of mine who I literally, when people haven't met him yet, I describe him as he could make a funeral funny, you know, like, because I have a friend of mine that we could be at my funeral and this guy could say something so funny, I'd sit up in the casket and laugh. You know what I mean? Like he's just that fun, you know? So I think everything has to have.
How I feel about Stevie.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, don't worry about that. We'll get through it. So speaking of Stevie, we'll go backwards through the rotation like we did in the first half and share with us one of the lyrics that's had a big impact on your life. And it's as important to me as the lyric is the why. So share one with us.
So the band is actually The Offspring and the song is Pretty Fly for a White Guy.
Right on.
I like to say that I have the same gravitas. Not really that. I was thinking about using that and I really wanted to do it
because I too am a white guy.
I am a white guy. I'm pretty fly. I really did want to go with it.
I fly away.
How about we'll go with this one? We all know, well, you may not all know, I joined the military little after 2001, after September 11th happened. Mm-hmm. I joined after visiting my cousin in Germany, loved it. I'm going to join up. This song came out right as I enlisted in 2002. I didn't get out until 2003, but it was Toby Keith's Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. Right. And I know it's like war propaganda. I know for a fact it is.
Well, yeah.
But
yeah.
What the song did is it actually united so many people at a time that it was really needed.
Yep.
And it helped. I think it did. And it pushed a lot more people, I know, through the recruiting office and all that too. But it also gave some people who didn't enlist that extra push to enlist or go that little further. Like when I deployed, I volunteered to deploy every single time I did to take somebody else's spot. So that way, if somebody had a kid or a wife or something else or a husband, they didn't have to go. I could go. I didn't have any family. That was fine to me. And it was songs like this help do that. And again, I know it's just like, yay, USA, USA or whatever, but it was that push that a lot of us need to get through a lot of really hard times over there.
It's interesting that you point that out because Toby Keith gets bagged on a lot for that. Like that's kind of what he does is, you know, rah, red, white, and blue songs. And that's kind of what he's made his name on. Right. But right. I love that you as an active part of the military at that time, like, you know, like you weren't just standing there being like, yeah, like, you know what that song is doing. Right. But it also inspired you. Like, I think it's great that it inspired you, like you said, to make the selfless decision of like, no, you stay back because you've got a new kid or whatever. And I'll go in your place. Right. So like even the most staunch Toby Keith hater would have to hear that from you and be like, well, I don't know. I guess the song did that good. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, the song didn't do anything too horrible, I don't believe.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if the most egregious sin that the song committed is being commercial. Well, okay, welcome to the last 40 years of music. You know what I mean?
Welcome to the music industry.
And I think it's worth pointing out too, something that you talked about is music at that time. And of course, you always want to tread lightly when you're speaking about, the events of 9/11, but music at that time was one of the things that united the country so tightly at the time. Like, I mean, you couldn't hear In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins without people being like, oh, you sons of bitches. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I say that humorously, but I'm serious. Like, that's how it was then. And it was because of music. Like, that people weren't watching movies at the time being like, yeah, and being united over it. It was music that was uniting people back then.
It's true.
Yeah. So I think that's a great pick. And I swear to God, if you had a reason for Pretty Fly for the White Guy, I would have totally let it slide. I thought you were being serious at first. So
I'll think it.
No, he was trolling.
Yeah.
He was trolling.
I mean, I watched the video before we came on just to be sure.
Yeah. Right on.
I did.
Right on. Augie, what is one of the lyrics that's have an impact on your life? And as I say, more importantly, why?
I'm sure everybody here is familiar with Hadaway's What is Love?
Mm-hmm.
He's already losing it. Didn't take very long. So the song does have some resonance with me because growing up, my siblings, my parents and all that, we watched Night at the Roxbury, and that's really what made that song popular for us.
Right. Oh yeah. I think it made it popular for everyone. That sketch is like the thing that made it a hit. Yeah.
And and every time I hear the song, it just brings up memories of all the times where that song would somehow get on the radio, and we'd all be in like the van just doing the thing from the Roxbury. Yes, and all that. So every time.
I totally get that. Like, I know this is going to be an SNL connection, but there was Steve Martin had a huge hit in the 70s with a song about King Tut that was an SNL sketch. And it's the dumbest thing in the world, but it totally reminds me of exactly what you're talking about. Like the family in the car singing, and that's what's more impactful than a childhood memory. It's a perfect example.
Right?
How somebody might look at that song on the surface and be like, oh, what a silly song. But okay, well, does it give you happy memories of hanging out with your family? Then great. That's how I feel about stuff like that. Pantsless Aaron, which Rush lyric is your favorite and why?
Well,
yes.
I can't even be mad because he's absolutely right. As everybody, everybody who's even listened to me mention music in any form, I would have told, hey, I'm a big Rush fan. I love Rush. And I do. And it's the fault of a very old friend of mine from high school. That friend is no longer around, but Rush still is. The song in particular that I wanted to talk about was Nobody's Hero. The song has loads to say during the bridges about the superficial way that society selects people for hero work. And I dig that because celebrities ain't shit.
Yep.
But the parts of the song that stuck with me really are the verses. I'm not gonna read the lyrics of the actual verses, but they're very similar, describing a certain person that has had sort of a peripheral existence on the author's life, as it were, but they're both followed by a similar hook. That person passed away, but they're nobody's hero. And what I took from that was, and this sounds simple, but allow me to explain, life always ends and society does not care. I mean, we still talk about Robin Williams and David Bowie, for now at least, but even real heroes fade away and are forgotten in the end. And what I extrapolated from that as a teenager was that there is no point in going through life without at least trying to achieve your dreams. And Kevin Smith would go on to preach something similar, which is probably why I'm a huge fan of his. But I first found the concept through this song that, yes, it will end. So you can prolong it, prevent it. So you might as well do what you want to do. And that's something that I've tried to live my life by. I haven't always. And I can tell you that this genuinely had a real impact on me because when I heard it when I was in high school and I listened to it constantly. I listened to that song more than any other song when I was in high school. And I mean, I love the whole Counterparts album, but that song just rung with me. And when I was trying to decide whether to go for to college for computer technology, which is something I was really good at, or theater, which was my passion. I chose theater. And that decision was at least partially influenced by this song.
That's rad.
As it turned out, I didn't have the dedication or the discipline to be a Hollywood or Broadway star, and I wound up working in computers anyway. But I have zero
first of all,
regrets.
not to interrupt you, but I would throw the word "yet" at that, because until your life is over, you don't. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you aren't going to make it in one of those, and especially with how
we'll see.
How connected today's technology is, man. You can get discovered at any moment through any means. So, not that you're unhappy working with computers. I'm just saying. No. I wouldn't give up on things. I would just throw the word "yet" at it.
No. But like, and who knows? I'm about to become, fingers crossed, a published author. My first novel about to maybe be published. I haven't signed the contract yet, but fingers crossed, knock on wood. Anyway, those years of going to college for theater were some of the best years of my life. Some of the best people, and it might not have happened without Neil Peart and Rush.
That's rad. That's rad. And also thank you for casually dropping in Counterparts in there, because when you started talking about that song, I spent a good couple of minutes listening to you and in my head going, that's from Counterparts, right? Yep. It's on Counterparts, right? Like, so I'm glad you threw that in there.
What's the Chase? So many, Double Agent, so many good songs. Leave That Thing Alone.
Yeah.
I love most of that album to the core, but this is the song that I took with me.
Hell yeah. And certainly fantastic reasons why, for sure. So we're cooking along with some great picks. And again, to me, the whys matter on things. Now, the one, I had two lyrics from this one particular lyric writer, and I wasn't sure which way I was going to go. And I ended up settling on the more recent of the two. And it's from an album, actually, that no one likes but me. I'm pretty sure that me and maybe 7 other people on earth like this album. But from the Guns N' Roses album, Chinese Democracy, there's a song called Sorry on it. And Axl has a lyric on this song and now this came out in 2008. So this is like fairly recent, it's like within the last 20 years or so. And this lyric has really had an effect on me in like all relationships, work, personal, like old friends, newer friends, love life. Like just, it's a lyric that it's just really, really, really stuck with me. And there's a lyric in the song Sorry where Axl says, it's harder to live with the truth about you than to live with the lies about me. And that is a lyric that has been like, I've always been a fighter my whole life. Like if I feel like you've been wronged or I've been wronged, I always feel like it's like my job to make sure that everything gets out in the open and we all hash everything out and everyone knows who's right in this situation or, who really said what. And that lyric kind of put that into words, what I couldn't just describe before, that like, it's physically hard for me to live with it when I know that, Stevie, if I saw someone say something about you on the internet that I know not to be true, like it's physically hard for me to live with that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I hear you.
Yeah. And so
there's like honor and pretty.
Yeah. When you know, especially when you know that the source of that, whomever is saying what is actually a piece of shit, or you know what I mean?
Right. Like, and that unicorn costume that I wore. Yeah, that's real. It's okay. You didn't have to defend that.
Yeah. Yeah. But even, it's happened to me a lot of times since the song came out, even in professional life, where I know that one person is trying to use like political politicking games inside of work and whatever. And one person is far better at a job than someone else, but someone else is better at playing the game or whatever. You know what I mean? Like those type of things. It's something that's just had a really, really big impact where almost every time something like this happens where I see a situation like that, I just have to be like, well, yeah, just remember what Axl said. Just you're just gonna have to remember, you're just gonna have to live with it, So it's
what would Axl do?
Yeah, which is a phrase no one usually says. Yeah. What would Axl do? Show up late and piss everybody off. All right, now what?
Done.
Yeah. Accomplished. What now? So yeah. So anyways, that's my first one. That's had a huge impact on my life ever since it come out. I've just been trying to keep it in mind. So we will rotate back through you gentlemen and go through your three next three that have had a big impact on you. So we'll go backwards through everybody and start off with the man from Rush. Do you have another Rush lyric for us or another artist altogether?
I don't, but I do have another Canadian progressive rock band.
Nice.
So I'm curious to see, because whenever I bring this band up with anybody, like nobody knows who they are. I'm curious to see if Russ, you do. The band is called Klaatu.
I've heard of them. I don't know a ton about them, but I've heard of them.
Okay. So, like I said, they're Canadian prog rock, which is basically my whole brand, apparently. Klaatu took a slightly different tack than Rush, and as such accomplished a different level of fame. But Father introduced me to their album Hope just before I went to college. And on the album, there are 3 songs that practically blend into each other. They might as well be one song. Mm-hmm. The Loneliest of Creatures, which is a weirdly high-energy Queen-esque musing of who the loneliest creature in the universe could be, followed by Prelude, which is the most incredible orchestral rock epic instrumental that still gives me chills every time I listen to it. And Prelude leads directly into So Said the Lighthouse Keeper, which provides a thoroughly fitting end to this short space rock opera. Mm-hmm. And this is the song that impacted me. Now, I don't think I'm going to surprise anyone by saying that despite being at least mostly heterosexual, I've always been an absolute disaster with women. And that carries on to this day. Back in college, I wasn't so good at dealing with it, and I spent many nights feeling my loneliness most keenly, and I latched onto these songs in a big way. Mm-hmm. But it's the lighthouse keeper who's the real loneliest creature in the universe, as he's the last member of his race, that gave me comfort. He tries, I'm not going to read the lyrics out, of course, but he basically decides that with his time remaining, he's going to create the perfect prayer for everybody that would lead to eternal peace. And he's just trying to come up with some simple phrase. And he thinks away his last day. And that's how the song ends. A short song that was cut from the album was supposed to explain that the old man came up with just a single word. And he said it with his dying breath. And it was the title of the very next song in the album. And it's the title of the album itself, Hope. It's what keeps you going. It's why you never give up. Because past performance doesn't predict future failure. And you'll never know if you don't try. Mm-hmm. I cut to today, and I never did find Mrs. Right. But I found something as good or better.
Again, yet.
Peace. Yet. Well, yet, fair enough. But I found peace with the notion of being on my own. So that hope paid off. Maybe not in the way that I wanted in college, but I still shudder to think how much self-harm was avoided because these songs told me to keep the hope that I was going to be okay. You know, I really latched on to that.
And like you said, like I said yet, but there is no disappointment to the aspect of yet for you, right? Like you're totally at peace now. And if something comes along, great. But if not, you're totally fine where you are. And that, and the kernel of that started with the lyrics of the song. I describe
myself as happily single. But if something does come along and change that, I would not be disappointed one way or the other.
And the kernel of that content, happy feeling that you're having now comes from the message of this suite of songs, but more or less the end of it there.
Yeah, don't give up. Never give up.
Exactly.
That's
never
rad.
give up.
That's
never
rad.
surrender.
Nice Galaxy Quest reference. Side note, I recently put on Twitter randomly that Galaxy Quest is one of my favorite movies of all time. And somebody who doesn't even follow us replied like 5 minutes later and was like, that can't be true. And I was immediate.
Yes, it's a fantastic movie.
I read the tweet and out loud on my couch, I said, go fuck yourself. Like, of course.
I'll admit something to you guys.
Dude,
right
Galaxy
now.
Quest is one of the greatest films ever made, in my opinion. It's fucking perfect.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was not a fan. Seeing it later on, I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Maybe I was too drunk. Who knows?
Yeah.
But seeing it later on, actually paying attention, and I got enjoyed it. It's so enjoyable that we watched it not too long ago again. Like I think 2 weeks ago.
And to me, it gets better with every viewing. Like every time.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. I will freely admit, like when I first started watching that movie, I was kind of a little pissed for like the first maybe half an hour. I'm like, it's making fun of Star Trek. By the end of that movie, I was like, this is great Star Trek.
Yeah, they are absolutely not making fun. Yeah. No, they are not. There's, we're already off the rails, so I might as well mention this. If you haven't seen it, there's a wonderful documentary on, I think it's on Amazon Prime, called Never Give Up, Never Surrender. That is it's like a 2-hour documentary about Galaxy Quest. And trust me, they go in depth about exactly how much they are not trying to make fun of Star Trek and how much and it very much was a love letter to Star Trek and more importantly, the fans. It's really good. Y'all should watch it. And I'll spoil one thing from it. Something that I learned watching that documentary was, you know how the ship is called the NSE Protector? I don't know if you guys know that, but the ship in the movie that they're on is called the NSE Protector. Yeah. It is called the NSE because on purpose, they didn't want to get sued. So NSE stands for Not Starship Enterprise.
Awesome acronym. I love it.
Yeah.
So, but the whole cast, except for Rickman, of course, because he passed away, the whole cast is in this documentary. It's absolutely fantastic. So thank you for that reference, because now I get to tell you guys about that documentary, which is awesome. So,
cool. I'm going to watch it.
So, Augie, you're up at bat. You had a way to move us with your first one. See what I did there? Now, puns.
I had a way.
And now the bat is on your shoulder. What is another lyric that's had an impact on your life?
It's kind of funny because going back and listening to some songs, I find some that I relate to. Some of the songs that I relate to oftentimes end up being a little depressing, but it's very funny when I find a song that I can relate to and is like funny.
Right on.
So I listened to this band called Ninja Sex Party.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
we're shooting a YouTube video this coming Sunday that has them in it. But go on.
No shit. Well, I know what I'm watching.
It won't be out till like the middle of May, but I'll let you know when it's coming.
Yes, please. But yeah, one of the songs is Parents' House. And the song is all about taking your date or girlfriend to your parents' house and trying to make it seem like it's cool and not completely awkward and kind of lame.
Nice.
And it's relatable in a way because I'd done that where I brought a date or a girlfriend. Where else would I bring them to? But yeah, bring them to your parents' house and it's all awkward, but you try to make it seem like cool. Like, oh yeah, I really lots of food here and I got a TV in my room. And
that's great.
I got a couch for a bed.
So it's like they wrote this from a comedic standpoint and you're like, yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it went down. Yeah, I try to make it seem cool, and it wasn't.
Relate to this. These sons of bitches are making money off my life.
Yeah,
it's real for me.
That's rad.
But yeah, it's always fun to find songs that you can kind of relate to.
Yeah. No,
just kind of bring up things like, oh yeah, well, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Now
I was so worried I was going to bring the mood down. Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, it's, and it's funny because the one I'm going to have Stevie go next, but the one I'm going to end on could be considered a very downer lyric. But yeah, one thing you said at the top, Augie, is like you sometimes will gravitate toward sadder lyrics. And I think all of us do. Like if you hear something that even helps you with like a sad time or whatever, like that's going to stay with you. So I like the perspective that you bring to it where you're like, you know what? It doesn't have to be all sadness all the time, guys.
Exactly. The reason why I say that was because my alternative was I was in System of a Down's Lonely Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about
I feel from a tweet that I saw earlier today from Stevie that he is going to bring us down, but we'll see what we can do because the man tweeted earlier today that he was getting teary about lyrics. So I assume that we're going to get there. Yeah. What is the next song you got for us, Stevie?
I do. I might need them. Actually, I'm just going to get it now. Okay. Abby McFerrin's Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Yeah.
No.
Dude.
God damn you.
Dude. With Robin Williams and Christopher Reeve in that video, I totally thought you were serious. That video is a good video. Two heroes who have passed away along with Bobby McFerrin. I was like, shit, I get it. And then you're like, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I mean, that is a good video.
Sorry. You could say, like, don't worry, be happy is like Stevie's whole demeanor.
Hell yeah.
So, I genuinely couldn't tell if you were being serious or just trolling us a second time, you monster.
This kind of rolls into that, though, and that kind of is my demeanor, and that's the reason I kind of did that, and this is almost the reason why. When I came back from overseas, I came back pretty fucking broken. I had and sometimes still battle issues. There's demons from all that crap. And when I heard this song, it was right after I got back. I couldn't find a job for a while. I ended up crashing at your place for a few months. And these hit me hard. And then it kind of changed my mentality a bit and kind of got me to turn a really bad negative into something positive. Mm-hmm. And from that point, I try to do my best to put out that positivity, like to spread that love, you know, like there's no reason to be shitting on each other here. We're all in the same fucking boat. Let's just keep going and do this together. And the song is from Linkin Park and it's Leave Out All the Rest. So this song is pretty much, don't remember me for all the shit I did. God, please don't remember me for all the pain I caused.
Yeah.
But remember me for the good and the positivity I try to put out there.
Yeah.
That's what I hope for in life.
Yeah. It's really good to have that perspective on lyrics and have takeaways like that, where, like you said, when you come back and you have a certain amount of things that you're dealing with and you need to feel like you're, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you. Making amends is kind of is the way that I can, but to have a lyric touch you in a way that makes you go, okay, like it's going to be okay. I'm going to put positive stuff out there. And like, you know, I think I can speak for the other two guys I'm looking at right now. And I can certainly speak for myself where we're happy to know you and we're happy to know the positive that you put out into the world. I've said to my wife, I mean, you all know my wife, Lauren, I've said to her so many times, like, man, that dude is just so positive, like all the time. And if you can have a lyric have that kind of impact on you, and then you turn around and have that kind of impact on everybody else. Like, I'm not even a big Linkin Park fan, and I'm thankful as hell that song exists because it had that impact on you. You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%, man. And it really did. It turned so many things around. I mean, to the point, I'm going to do a little PSA here to where I was able to get help. Mm-hmm. And if you are a veteran that's suffering with any issues, get a hold of your local VA. They will help you. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You'll get a card, you'll get your health care done, and you can get any help you need, including mental health. Like, please go get that.
We talked about,
honestly,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Not joking at all. Like, I struggle to think of anything negative about you at all. I mean, except for the fact that you trolled us twice in a row.
He's like, Aaron's like, I spend whole days thinking about things that
something positive, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. It was positive.
I spend whole days trying to think of ways you suck, and I can't do it. That's great.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I appreciate it.
You know,
I appreciate it.
When you mentioned that, Stevie, one thing too, we've talked about this at great length on the show before, because mental health and mental health awareness is very important to us here on the show. And there, like, for example, I've known many musicians at some high levels who there's no healthcare system for musicians. They don't have, you know, there's no old folks home for musicians. There's no structure in place to take care of these folks. And there's organizations like Music Cares that rely on funding, charity funding, to help musicians with everything from housing issues to, medical emergencies to mental health issues. But, you know, like you said, with the VA, that's something that's out there that is for our veterans that I feel like, would you agree that veterans have the same issue many of us have, where you get to a certain point in life and you go, I'm ashamed to admit that I need help with this, right? I feel like mental health, we're still at a point in this country where people do that, where there's a certain amount of shame.
It's a stigma for sure.
And,
I mean, it took me a couple of years to actually go to talk to somebody. Like I signed up for the VA for the healthcare because I needed to, but I didn't actually go get help for a couple of years after. Really.
Yeah.
And I mean, it takes a while, and some people don't realize, get it, or some just don't feel like talking. And talking, there's medications, and I'm not an advocate for popping medications and stuff, but the talking is what helped me a ton, and I think it helps a lot of others. And what sucks about the music industry going into this too, for no backup or healthcare for them, it's so disappointing considering how much the music industry takes from an artist, and they can't provide anything else for them. I mean, they don't own their own music half the time. They get nothing monetarily wise. Yeah, you get some glamour right now. You get some free advertisement. You get a nice car to ride in, but that's about it, really.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get anything as an artist. It kind of sucks. And it should be. And I think hopefully the music industry should be put into a law, kind of like the movie industry is for children actors, like those child actors, where they have to set a certain amount aside for that child actor later on in life. They should do the same thing for music artists.
Oh, don't get me started on
for that.
Things that should be happening in the music industry, because we will be here.
I'm getting passionate, man.
Yeah, we will be here for the next several hours discussing that type of stuff.
Sorry. I'm emotional.
No, dude, trust me. I hear you. I have some very good friends who work within the music industry who have had some major struggles, and without organizations like Music Cares, I would be telling you about some people I used to know in the music industry. So I'm very, very thankful at least something like that exists. I'm going to round us out with, I really think this is, I put some thought into this, and I really think this is the lyric that's had the most impact on my life, because I first fully understood the lyric when I was 25, like Aaron was talking about earlier with that Rush song, where you get something, but maybe you don't put it into action immediately. Geez, every 5 years or so, I really hear this song again, and I go, oh yeah, I got to remember that, and I first really got the lyrics in my, I don't know, early 20s, and now coming up on my late 40s, every single time I hear the song, I'm like, God, those lyrics are profound. And this is the only time I'm going to do this. I'm going to read the full verse from this song, not the full song, but the full verse. And it's Roger Waters wrote the lyrics from Pink Floyd's 1973, The Dark Side of the Moon record, in the song Time. And there's a lyric coming out of the guitar solo that says, "You run and you run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking. It's racing around to come up behind you again. The sun is the same in a relative way, but you're older, shorter of breath, and one day closer to death." And it kind of, in some ways, encapsulates a lot of what we've all talked about from lyrics of seize the day, do what you got to do, but don't chase after frivolous stuff, because on the Nobody's Hero song, again, to make the same correlation there, the world's going to keep turning with or without you. So decide what's important and go after that. Because if you waste all day, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is you're going to go to sleep and you're going to wake up one day closer to death, and everything else is going to be going on the same as it was before. And that dude, Roger Waters, wrote those lyrics when he was in his 20s. And I'm like, how? You know what I mean?
How do you know life already?
Yeah.
How have you experienced this already that you know this?
Yeah. You know what I mean? I probably wasted too much time thinking about how awesome it is that he wrote that. And then I had to be like, oh shit, the song said not to waste time.
Son of a bitch, that was 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm never going to get those 2 minutes back.
Discussed, learning is never a waste of time.
That's true.
That's true. So,
or even relearning in this case.
I think we all learned something today.
Yeah.
It's not a goddamn after school special.
Oh yeah. Well, we did a PSA.
I know. I wish I had one of those. I wish I had the sound drop for that. The more you know, with the.
Oh, we didn't have the soundboard set up.
Damn it. But anyways, for me, I'm sure you guys know this. This could have been a 10-part series of episodes for me. I'm sure it could have been for you guys. This is just this is something you could go on. And also, this is not the be all end all. This is not Augie, Aaron, me, and Stevie going, these are the greatest lyrics of all time. We're just telling you these are ones that have had an impact on us and why. And hopefully people listening understand some of the reasons why. And this is not just a cheap plug for comments and whatnot, but by all means share with us For me, there might even be songs that people might go, oh, Jesus, I never thought of it that way or whatever. And that's the whole point of what we do here. We want people to be discussing more, thinking more about music and how it impacts their life. So before we wrap things up, I want to thank you, gentlemen, one more time for coming on our show. You've been so gracious as to have me on your show a couple of times, and I wasn't blowing smoke earlier at the beginning of the, I wasn't blowing Stevie either.
Wait a minute, what you were doing?
At the beginning of the episode, when I said that I genuinely enjoy what you guys do. I think you're one of the funniest podcasts that I've heard out there. So if someone is looking for a game show where you guys have a lot of fun and screw around with all sorts of different quiz shows and questionnaires and themes and pop culture and whatnot, any of the three of you, feel free to tell everybody where they should go find you.
Absolutely. No place better than BFYTWpod.com. You can obviously also find us on oddpodsmedia.com.
Mm-hmm.
Great network to be a part of. Very happy to be a part of it. And obviously you can check out on most places you find podcasts, like this one, for example.
Yep. Whatever you're listening to us on right now, like I told everybody at the beginning of the show, myself and Lauren are on the current episode of BFYTW. So as
episode
160,
great episode, highly recommended, one of my favorites.
Yes,
right on.
Oh, gosh.
So if you would like to hear that episode and a little bit of what their show sounds like, as soon as this episode's done, go right back into your podcast player, look up BFYTW, hit the subscribe button, and then check out the latest episode. Because once you're subscribed, they don't care if you listen or not. We just want you to subscribe to them, and then
just hit that button. You can leave us alone after that.
It's fine. I wouldn't mind the feedback.
No, for sure, for sure. I kid.
If it's positive, fine, leave. It's okay. We'll take the positive.
Right.
Only positive feedback.
Right on. Coming up next week on the Infectious Groove Podcast, our friend Dayton from Docking Bay Podcast, who I made reference to earlier, is going to swing back around, join us one more time on the program for a totally epic cover battle. And this time out, it will be the song Brown Eyed Girl. And we will be putting up the original Van Morrison version that everyone has heard 10,000 times against kind of a lesser known version from the band Everclear, which I think is a fantastic version for completely different reasons than I like the version by Van Morrison. So Dayton will sit in with us to discuss what we like about the original, what we like about the cover, which one is our favorite, and which one we would tell you to go listen to. So that is going to be all sorts of fun. So tune in next week for that. For the BFYTW crew, on behalf of my co-host, Michelle, who of course couldn't be bothered to show up this week, but we'll be back next week. My name is Russ. And like we always say, without music, life would be a mistake. Bye.
The Infectious Groove Podcast is hosted by Russ Robinson, Kyle Wimple, and Michelle Koselecki. Produced and edited by Russ Robinson. Intro and outro music composed by Chris Kimmel. Recorded with a Rode Podcaster Pro and Rode Pod mic.